Oh my golly gosh, it's Tom Sykes, the royalist, here with Paula Froelich. I missed you yesterday. I think we did actually.
Oh, that I can't hear.
Didn't we?
I can't hear anything, Tommy.
Oh, you can't hear me? Okay, never mind.
Sam, I can't hear you. Ben, help us. We're streaming and I can't hear you.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Anyone? Can they hear me?
No.
Hello?
Okay, we're gonna go out. We're gonna try again.
Tommy, I can't hear you. No, hear you, Tommy. No, Tommy. Hi, are you back?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I've just been in the comments.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. Wow. Well, look, here we are. Paula, what a 24 hours. I don't think we need to rehash it all for everybody. I'm assuming everybody here knows that Prince Andrew had a really nice birthday. He came round.
Sadly, there was no file in his cake.
No, it was great. He had a brilliant time. It was basically an absolute belter of a birthday with a kind of fancy dress, police situation. He really enjoyed it. He had a great time.
Yeah. By the way, wait. I need to interrupt you because the fancy dress thing. I think there was a cartoon at the Telegraph where he was lounging on the sofa looking at a female cop going, "All right, you're going to strip now." You can only imagine what he thought his nasty little friends got him for his birthday.
Oh my God. Unbelievable. Anyway, it's been exciting times in real news. Let's see whether the monarchy survives or not. That's one of the things we're going to be talking about. The first thing I wanted to just tell people, Paula, I'm working on a story. I haven't posted it yet. Basically, friends fear that Beatrice is on the verge of a nervous breakdown after the humiliating arrest of her father by British police yesterday. I want to point out that Beatrice is the older of the two daughters with more red hair, and her younger sister Eugenie I think seems to have much more successfully cut herself off. You know, she's moved to Portugal a while ago. Perhaps as part of getting away from that whole situation. And of course, when the first problems happened, she was seen at the art fair in Qatar, Art Basel in Qatar. And this time she's been skiing in Gstaad.
When the going gets tough, the York girls goes skiing. I mean, I loved it. It's not only one of the more expensive sports in the world besides like polo, Prince Harry's favorite. But the mother, Fergie, was also in Switzerland before fleeing to the UAE. When, the rumors when it was like, oh, he's going to be arrested. And the king was like, oh, let the law, before he was actually arrested. And Keir Starmer was calling for it. And Fergie was like, oh, someone get my passport. I need to go skiing. So, I mean, it's bonkers to me. God bless.
The whole thing is completely crazy. So yeah, Beatrice, I was writing about today. So I was talking to somebody. The friend said Beatrice, and I'm going to be putting this on my Substack later. Friend of Beatrice told the Royalist Beatrice is on the verge of a nervous breakdown. She's horrified by what has been revealed about her father, as any child would be, and of course, her absolute sympathy is with the victims. So they've learned the lesson of making sure that they refer to the victims. The friend also said Beatrice is slowly coming to terms with the enormity of her father's alleged crimes. It is an incredibly painful process. So what I want to ask you, Paula, is this is quite divisive. I think possibly as a legacy of the sound mess up, I'm hearing echo from me coming back through from you. Can you turn me down a bit or not?
I think, I'm getting comments on the thing that you are extremely loud.
Oh, I'm extremely loud. Well, that's just me. Okay, I'm going to keep my voice down a bit.
Don't. I love your loudness.
Sorry, I'm just so overexcited. I'm so overexcited. There's something going on with our volume today, and we don't know what it is. Okay, so, Paula, which side of this divisive debate are you on? Are the Beatrice and Eugenie, are they basically like Stockholm syndrome, people who've grown up in a crime family and don't realize right from wrong, and now a bit too late they're realizing that it is? And do you have sympathy for them, or are you in the party of they were up to their necks in it and they were taking lovely free holidays and they knew exactly what was going on? Where do you stand on it?
I'm in the middle. I think they were raised to think that this is normal and okay. But I think that once you're an adult, you can do your own Google search. And they were old enough when Google was around. So it's not like, you and I, when we were kids, we had to go to like a Wikipedia, not Wikipedia, Oh, God, I can't remember it, encyclopedia anymore.
Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, thank you. And, the fact that they went to a get out of jail party for Epstein when they were over 18 with their mother is really odd, and I think at some point it's okay to blame your parents in your mid 20s, because you're just starting to figure out, you're like, my parents messed me up. But then you got to grow the hell up, take responsibility, and go. And the thing is that Beatrice is the one who really set the ball going, and she should be having a nervous breakdown. If she had not convinced her father to do the BBC Newsnight, he would have skated for a lot longer than he did. And the second he uttered the words, I was at a Pizza Express in Woking with the girls, they should have been like, yeah, no, that didn't happen. So, at some point, if they were in their 20s, early 20s right now, I'd be like, but no. And the other thing is, in all of my discussions with people and with Andrew Loney, they also are on the grift. They also go to the Middle East and accept necklaces and gifts that are worth quite a bit of cash. They also do all these free trips, and enough.
Yeah.
Enough
Yeah.
already. We talk a lot about Meghan being kind of like grifty, but what about these girls? I say get rid of everything except for the immediate family.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean William's immediate family.
Yeah. Okay, well, that leads us on to the second point up for discussion today. We're rattling through it today because Paula's a very busy woman and she's got to be gone fairly soon. So it leads us on to the second decision for today. Where on earth is Sarah Ferguson? Where is she? What is she doing? Like, how is she managing to keep such a low profile? She must be, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what I've heard. I've heard that she's in the UAE. I've heard that she's holed up with former advisors and stuff out there. I've spoken to some people who've denied who I was told that she's with, who've denied that she is with them. So I haven't been able to report anything on it. But
also, by the way, of course they're going to deny it. You think anyone's going to come out in this land of, well, we said it didn't happen, so you will believe us. And you're like, dude, we just saw all the files of all your lies. Not to mention, nobody wants to be known as the person hanging out with Sarah Ferguson right now. It's not, as some would say, kosher. However, I do think it's fascinating because there is a report out today that the police have already talked to Fergie. And I have to say, I don't believe it because she has not been in the UK for a very long time. Since it looked like, I would say weeks, she hasn't been in the UK. And also, I don't think she would have talked to Andrew or talked about Andrew because she would have called Andrew or told the girls, and the shredding would have begun. So,
yeah, I'm a little skeptical about that report, I have to say, because there's no way that they would have talked to Sarah before they talked to Andrew. So in order for that report to be true, if they had spoken to Sarah, that would mean that yesterday someone's got hold of Sarah, had a police conversation with her, even if it's not under caution, even if it's just a background chat, and then someone else has got a fact. So I don't think that she has been located by law enforcement yet. That's just my personal opinion. Could be wrong, but that's my view. But do you remember when Ghislaine Maxwell basically went on the run for like a year and no one could find her for a year?
And dummy Ghislaine did not flee to France or Israel, where she has the passports and there's no extradition. She fled to New Hampshire. And you're like, what are you doing? Why?
And was like eating burgers at In-N-Out Burger and stuff, wasn't she? It was crazy. That whole story was crazy.
It was bonkers. I felt like we were living in a weird Tom Cruise movie where somebody was going to rip off their face and be like, I'm not her.
Yeah. But I tell you, the bottom line is, I mean, look, the police are going to have to talk to Sarah. I mean, because if, it's very clear that she's as involved in it as Andrew. And I mean, it is a possibility that she is involved in organizing these girls to come back and forth. I mean, there's pictures of her in the files with girls who are clearly very young women who are, one would suspect are being used for sexual purposes. And I think that, but in a way, if she doesn't come back, if she just goes, no, sod it, I'm not going to jail, I'm going to stay in UAE and, you know, live with the Kimmons. You know, like, in a way, it's bad, but it's not like for the king, it's not like it would be of having Anne out there, you know, like if Sarah wants to go renegade. But
right, but to be fair, I mean, at this point, I think Andrew wishes he had gone renegade and joined her.
yeah,
You know, at this
maybe.
point, he's probably like, I should have gone to Abu Dhabi. You know, like, my bad. But, you know, I mean, it also goes to the crux of these guys' insane narcissism and arrogance, thinking, well, I did nothing wrong. Of course they can talk to me. Of course they're not going to arrest me. I just spent time with a very nice couple young ladies with accents who my friend Jeffrey flew in to meet me. And, you know,
Yeah.
you know, and then of course I forwarded these emails to Jeffrey and some other bankers in Luxembourg because they were going to advise the government and me and give us better deals. You know, like,
yeah. I know, and it's funny. I was talking to this lawyer last night, Marcus Johnson, and I was talking to him about the difficulties of what they're going to. Because it was really interesting. Because I've just assumed all along that it was going to be way easier to get him on the financial stuff than the sex stuff.
100%.
But amazingly, Paula, this lawyer I was talking to last night was like, no. He was like, it's a really high bar for misconduct in public office. Starting with, Andrew can say, I wasn't a public official because I wasn't being paid. Right? That's part one. So there's all these technicalities that you can get out of it on. And what Marcus said to me yesterday, and it was a great conversation. If you're interested in the legalities of what was going on yesterday, he suspects to me that it's very easy to bring Andrew in on suspicion of corruption because of all the documentation that's there. But he said to me that he suspects that ultimately it's going to be much easier to land a prosecution for the sex trafficking, which I was absolutely gobsmacked by. Yeah, he said if you look at the paper trail of these people being flown in and out, he's like, it fits every category of sex trafficking, brothel keeping. I mean, he was saying that
brothel keeping.
Brothel keeping.
Mean, you know what's so crazy about this though is that there really are three outcomes. One, Andrew pleads guilty, gets jail time, perhaps for the rest of his life. Two, he says, absolutely not, I'm going to fight it, and he goes to court, and in doing so helps bring down the entire royal family. Or three, he pleads insanity and goes to a really plush psych ward somewhere, possibly in Switzerland, where he can go skiing with his girls.
Ben's asking if you could turn me down a little bit further. This might mean you won't be able to barely hear me. I will sound like a whisper coming out of your computer. I think what we need to do, like, have you seen the proper people who do this properly? You know, they have the little headphones. You probably have all them at News Nation, right? Those little doors. What are they called? Monitors?
Well, I turned you down, but I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And also, why is this happening? You and I have done this gazillions of times before.
I don't know. Maybe Prince Andrew has hacked our system. That's the only explanation. Okay, so Prince Andrew. Yeah. So Sarah Ferguson. Okay, what does Andrew's arrest mean for the future of the monarchy?
Do you want my opinion? Because I'll tell you right now. From everything that I have read and all the sources I've talked to, I think that Charles is going to have to slim down the monarchy a lot sooner, a lot quicker, and they have to get rid of everyone with the exception of Anne, Edward, Sophie, and William, Catherine, and their children sooner rather than later. It does show that these kind of quasi-royal roles, and I'm looking at you, Harry and Meghan, don't actually work, and it opens you up for embarrassment. It opens you up to erosion of public trust, and it really, really can take down the monarchy. You know, I think that Beatrice and Eugenie, unfortunately, however nice they may be, need to not have royal roles anymore. I think the entire York family should just exit stage left
Mm.
and, keep it moving.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have to, because it is a bizarre situation anyway, where your father has had his HRH removed, and you only hold your HRH by virtue of who your father is. So, I mean, obviously, obviously there'd be a justification if they were like amazing people doing like loads of public work and all that. But as far as I can tell, like, Beatrice runs her,
Right.
AI company or whatever, and fleecing people in the Middle East, and Eugenie runs her art gallery. So I don't know. I just feel like this is clearly a bigger crisis than the 1936 abdication, and I feel like I've been reporting for ages that Prince William wants to get rid of all these hangers on, wants to strip it out, and I think never waste a good crisis. I think he is going to use the crisis to completely restructure the family. I think all those hangers on will be fired and told to clear off. I think they're going to have to reform everything. There's going to have to be freedom of information. There's going to have to be a register of interests. They're going to have to get rid of all those houses. They are going to have to go. They can't be having 18 houses anymore. No way.
I also wonder, first of all, who's going to live in Kensington Palace and pay for it? But I also wonder, we're talking about William doing this, but I think Charles needs to do this. And Charles needs to step up and deal with the rest of the family. And kind of look at his son and say, I support you, Harry. Personally, I love you. You're not part of the firm. You cannot be this anymore, nor can your wife.
I just don't think Charles is in a position to do that. I think he's too old and too ill. I agree that he should. But I just don't think he's got the strength. I don't think he's got the will to do it. I think he knows he's at the end of his life. He doesn't want his last 2 years to be basically a dismemberment of the institution, a reducing of the cultural footprint of the institution. And, I genuinely think that the only hope, really, in a way, it's almost like this needs to get worse before it gets better, because if it gets worse, if it gets more worse and Charles is implicated in it, then I don't think Charles needs to formally abdicate, but I think a kind of stepping back and allowing William to come to the fore, I think would be so helpful now. And look, at the end of the day, we all know where this is going to end up, right? This is going to end up with a broadcast on BBC with Charles looking at the camera going, I'm terribly, terribly sorry about everything that's happened. And in that broadcast, I think he's going to need to announce wholesale reforms of the institution.
Well, here's the deal. There's a couple things. Number one, I think whoever is advising Charles right now is up a creek. I don't think it was the appropriate thing to do to go to London Fashion Week for the first time on the day of your brother's arrest. Your brother, who was arrested for being with young girls, and there you are at Fashion Week watching young lady models trollop down
with the legs, that photograph with the legs. You're just like, oh my God.
It was just that was a bad look in many ways. Not just because of the parallels to what his brother had done, but also it just looked like he was celebrating. He's never been before to London Fashion Week. Did you need to go that day? Not totally sure. But he also, I know he doesn't want to abdicate. He doesn't want to share power. He doesn't want to do this. I mean, let's be honest. He's been gearing up for this role his entire life. And almost since the day he became king by himself, he's kind of stepped in it. But this is his raison d'etre. There's no other reason for Charles to be except king. And I also think William doesn't necessarily want to be king right now. He's kind of enjoying his life, raising the kids, picking them up from soccer and all that. So I do think like a combo role would be great. I just don't know if Charles has the balls to do what needs to be done.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because if he did, you could see how actually Charles could turn this around. Do you know what I mean? If he was being advised properly, and he's not, and frankly, his press office is staffed by, former journalists who think that they know it all, but actually, do you know what I mean? They don't. Like, he needs really smart people who are up to speed with like and William has this. He has like young branding people, you know, digital branding people all involved, like crisis managers, like the whole nine yards. You know, it's a really up to date, modern institution. But you can see, like for Charles, that if he was able to kind of let go, let William come in and sort of have the humility to step back and allow William to run things and to sort things out and to make those reforms, as you say, in his name, but before William actually becomes king, to like basically clean up his mess for him. You can see how Charles could then survive the cancer because he'd be able to focus on his recovery and not be like insanely stressed out by trying to deal with his brother. And B, you can see how he would become this kind of avuncular king emeritus figure. You know, if he did by some miracle survive for another 20 years, you know, you can see that kind of role for him and what a beautiful upturn that would be. But in a way, it's going to have to get worse to get better, because if Charles manages to squeak through this and hang on and just carry on the way he's been, it's going to be a disaster.
Well, he also, I don't think, has the cojones to look at Harry and say, I'm going to take away all the titles. Also, by the way, why do Lilibet and Archie have titles? That's even more dangerous. You know, some rando rich kids in Montecito. We see what happens to rich kids in LA and Montecito. No good. But it's, you know, I just think he needs to do that. If he did that, he could look at Harry and say, okay, I will go to Invictus with you. This is your thing. You're no longer Harry, you're Harry Mount. Oh, he can't do Mountbatten Windsor anymore, can he?
He could go for Windsor.
Sussex.
He could be Harry Sussex.
Fine. You're Harry Sussex. You can keep Harry Sussex, even though I think he was announced as Harry Wales the other day at Polo, or Harry Windsor. But, you know, and then have a father-son relationship without the mishigas of a title involved.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. And I think, you know, that was the sign, wasn't it? That Charles wasn't up for this fight. It was when Harry and Meghan just unilaterally announced that their kids were going to be prince and princess. Like, a conversation should have been had with them before, you know, where they said, don't call your kids prince and princess, because you're going to provoke everything, and then they will actually just be formally taken off you by letters patent. So don't do it, you know, and then you can honorarily hang on to them in private. You can say to your prince, yeah, actually they are a prince and princess. Do you know what I mean? Like
100%. Or do what every parent in America does and looks at their daughter and says, you're my princess, or you're my prince, Archie. I mean, I don't, you know, it's just, we've talked about the hypocrisy of this before, and I could go on forever, but I do want to bring up one quickie because I think it's hilarious. After Andrew gets arrested, King Charles goes to London Fashion Week, weird, and Meghan Markle posts an as ever thing that says, time for tea, or something, you know, and she's chilling tea. It's like, what are you doing tonight?
What are you doing tonight?
I mean, oh, girl, because, you know, Harry did say in Spare, well, at least we haven't been accused of crimes like my Uncle Andrew. I'm obviously paraphrasing people. And so, I mean, I get it. Sometimes we all want to have our drag queen moment and be like, have some tea. Watch what's going on. Let's not do it publicly, folks. Okay.
I know it was pretty funny that last night. I who knows? I'm sure that it was just a scheduling error. But it was a bit of trolling. It was a bit of trolling. I thought, and I'm here for it. Well, Paula, look, it's been great to be here today. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go because I know, like, I think our tech is not perfect today, so we're going to spare the viewers any more of our dodgy tech. But thank you all for being here. Thanks for your patience.
Thanks, you guys. And if you want more royals, I'm going live with Kinsey Schofield on my channel at noon, 25 minutes.
Love it. See you later. Thanks a million, Ben. Bye.